Hello, welcome to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. Today we're going to get into the second quarter outlook for April, May, and June for the sign of Taurus. Now, I already did a 2020 year-long outlook, which is linked in the description, and I didn't do a first quarter outlook because, of course, the 2020 outlook came out in January. But now we're going to look at the second quarter, April, May, and June for Taurus. And this is going to be a general outlook for you, Taurus. This is going to be, we could touch any area, right? Whatever comes up in this reading, whether it's love being your focus for this period, or career, or money, whatever the case may be. But generally these outlooks are going to touch on a few areas. It's a full Celtic spread, and I'm going to pull some clarifying cards at the end just to get a little bit deeper. And that'll be it. All right, so we're going to see what this next 3-month period is going to be like for you. And I've already done most of my shuffling off camera, so we can get right into it, Taurus. Cut your deck and get out your cards. All right, here we go. So, straight out in the center, we have Queen of Pentacles covered with the Ten of Swords. Nice. So an end of struggling, right, for some of you. We have Nine of Pentacles coming out. This is now the second reading she's shown up strong. And the Seven of Swords also came out for Aries. We have another 10, another completion, beautiful, and another Eight of Wands coming out. King of Swords with the Magician. Justice, and we have, wow. All right, so the Hermit showed up for Aries in the exact same position. A lot of overlapping cards. I wonder if my collective will be experiencing some similarities. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the Lovers card, also an overlapping card. Now, I go through the zodiac from Aries up to Pisces in these readings, and I can tell you from Aries, we have Nine of Pentacles showed up, Seven of Swords showed up, Hermit showed up, and Lovers, and the Eight of Wands. So 5 cards overlapping from Aries. Again, I wonder if this won't be an example of what my collective as a whole may be going through. Interesting. So at the bottom of the deck, we have Lovers. So this certainly indicates that one underlying theme during this period for you, Taurus, will be the issue of a love connection that you have with someone and working towards harmony in that love connection. Of course, you do round off with a Hermit as your ultimate sort of outlook for this period, but we're going to get back to that. In the center, let's get right into it. Taurus, it's going to finally be the end of struggling, right? It will absolutely be Queen of Pentacles covered with a Ten of Swords. Queen of Pentacles is all about the mind, body, and soul, but the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into achieving a career, business, or financial goal. The Queen of Pentacles is absolutely, she is the queen of achieving and manifesting your material goals. She comes from nothing. She comes from a barren wasteland, and everything that is around her, everything that she has accomplished on her own. She understands the need to be emotionally invested, right, in these projects or these objectives in order to manifest them. You can even see her looking at that coin as if it is her baby, right? She has this sort of nurturing look, and this is what we talk about, the need to nurture your dreams, to emotionally nurture those dreams, to put everything into them. And the Queen of Pentacles understands that this is what's necessary when we're trying to achieve greatness. Taurus, you are about to achieve your greatest ambitions this period. Ten of Swords is covering it. So Ten of Swords indicates that you've definitely gone through a period of a lot of knocks to your ego. You've been knocked down a lot of times. You've had a lot of swords at you, clearly, right? And it's now the end of it, right? So this period is going to mark the end of struggling in a lot of ways. It's going to mark a new period where you have risen up from this ego. This body laying there is symbolic of the ego. And the swords that have impaled it and ultimately led to its demise are all of the various sort of knocks that we've had to our ego over the period of time, right? Failures maybe that we've had to get back up and work through, right? Obstacles that we've had that knocked us down, but we had to get back up, right? But ultimately now it's the end of that. And now when you get back up, and out of this, because tens are completion, now when you are getting back up into this new era, it is a new ego that rises, right? With having learned all of the lessons of the past. And also, what happens here with the Ten of Swords is that when you rise now from a Ten of Swords, all of the things that have sort of impaled you, right, as we see here, hurt you before, they no longer will hurt you in the future. This is a leveling up in a lot of ways, right? And so this is why 10 is the number for completion. And why, of course, we are now seeing the beginning almost of a new era for you. A new beginning in your level of understanding, and a new beginning for you in terms of strength and wisdom, so that all of these old swords no longer infect you or impact you the way they did before. This is all part of the journey the Queen of Pentacles takes to building up her empire, as it were. Very strong reading for you, Taurus. I'm very happy. Nine of Pentacles is in your focus, which means this period you are going to be experiencing abundance coming in, rewards coming in. Nine of Pentacles is certainly someone who's extremely ambitious, someone who's worked for a very long time and very hard at achieving their goals, at mastering their skills or mastering their areas of focus. Right? The falcon in this card has always been symbolic of mastery, right? Mastering whatever it is you do, whatever business you're in or career you're in, you've worked very hard. And so the rewards that are coming in are not simply being handed to you, but they are the rewards that are due you after a long period of working towards your objective, right? Nine of Pentacles generally is somebody also who is quite independent, right? Quite independent, and can sometimes even be alienated by their level of success, because sometimes when you level up to a certain level of success or financial abundance and stability, you are by nature a little bit set apart from certain friends or parts of your life, right? I mean, example could be like, you have friends you grow up with and you both, a certain social group you're in, and you all grow up and you go your separate ways or what have you. Well, that one friend who really skyrockets with regard to financial abundance and career, oftentimes it's going to be difficult for you to access them, right? It suddenly becomes difficult to have communication with them. Sometimes you feel sort of like, well, they're at another level, you know what I mean? And because of that level of financial success, it can feel as though there is a gap, right? It can feel as though there's an expanse now. Suddenly, that one friend in the group that's become famous or very, very wealthy, they're not going to come back. A lot of times they won't come back and, to the reunion. You know what I'm saying? Now, this is just an example of what I mean of how certain levels of success can set you apart, can kind of almost alienate you from those around you who have not sort of come with you into this new stratosphere. You can see that she's in the garden by herself, and oftentimes it can also simply be that single-mindedness that we have, that ambition, that strong single-mindedness to achieve certain career goals and business goals. That in and of itself doesn't leave a whole lot of room for casual friendships or things like that, right? For just socializing in certain ways, right? Nevertheless, Taurus, this is a reading for an ambitious Taurus who is going to absolutely, after a very long period of struggling and working and picking themselves up time and time again, finally leveling up to a place where the abundance and the stability has reached a certain level where they'll never really quite tumble all the way back down to where they were before. Right? Sometimes you hear about people who are like, you see interviews or what have you, read articles about people who've reached a certain level of success. that they know they'll never have to really worry about all tumbling all the way back down to rock bottom, because they've just leveled up to such a degree. And the finances and the money is now rolling into such a degree that, you know, their baseline is not down here, it's now up here. So if they do tumble, they may have to rebuild themselves, but not all the way from the bottom. And this is what we're talking about. It's very, very strong. In the back of your mind during this period, you do have a Seven of Swords. So this is quite interesting. There is an area in your life where there will be a feeling of futility. Where things just aren't really working out quite the way you had expected. This can also be the card for treachery. Now, some of you may find that there are certain relationships you have in your life that have sort of been working against you, right? And some of this will begin to come out during this period also. Seven of Swords is the dream thief. It's someone who is not really willing to work very hard for their goals. They'd rather just steal them from you. Or it's someone who tries to sort of, you know, steal success with half-hearted measures, right? And so here we get the essence of futility. Now, this is in the back of your mind. While in the front of your mind, you're experiencing a lot of rewards. This is quite interesting. So like I said, this could be a feeling for some of you, Taurus, that certain areas of your life, you continue to sort of, your efforts continue to sort of be futile and not gain what you want. This could be in the area of love, right? Or personal relationships. Or it can be that in the back of your mind, you realize there is someone there that, or someone, or even a certain group of people who have actively been working against you to a certain degree. So I think that for some of you, Tauruses, you have Lovers at the bottom of the deck. You will be reevaluating, I think, some of your personal relationships during this period of time. And again, because of this level of success coming in, it is almost natural that some of this energy may come as well, in terms of certain people who may be jealous, who may seek to sort of take what you have, you know, who may seek to sort of undermine your success, right? And so just be mindful of that, because this isn't a strong card. This is a strong sort of toxic energy that is kind of in the back of your mind. It could be simply a thought or an inkling that you're having during this period, where you're starting to realize, wait a minute, you know what? Certain people that I'm dealing with, maybe they're not so good for me. You know, maybe, you know, some of their actions are actually, you know, undermining me, you know, and you may begin to sort of wake up to this, or begin to sort of realize this, right, during this period. Now, coming into this period, you have a 10 of Wands, which is another completion. So a lot of burdens you've been carrying, and hang-ups you've been carrying, and baggage that you've been carrying, you are laying down as you come into this April, May, June period, right? It can be that you've really been carrying a lot of, you know, you may have been carrying you know, guilt or burdens and responsibilities that weren't for you to carry in the first place, right? Maybe baggage left over from the past that you've been carrying around with you that has really sort of become so oppressive. You realize it's no longer needed, right? You realize you don't have to hold on to this baggage anymore. You don't have to hold on to these sort of modes of behavior or ways of thinking that really have that really sort of stop you from making the best decisions going forward, right? And so all these sorts of things, again, are coming to an end. And this is the position of the energy you have coming into the period. So coming into the period, you are ready to lay that down. For some of you, again, it may be the end of certain responsibilities that you've been carrying that might have stood in the way of you achieving your ultimate goal, right? Those responsibilities, laying them down, no longer carrying them, is going to perhaps open up the way for you to really achieve your goals and to experience this nice level of reward coming in. In any case, I think that this is a real period of letting go for you, Taurus. Letting go of the past, Leveling up here with this Ten of Swords, very, very strong energy that you're going to be going into a new stage of your life, free from the bonds that have held you back before. Whether they be burdens or whether they be obstacles that have held you back before, all of that has come to completion. And this is very much a new stage for you. Now, coming into this period and moving forward, Eight of Wands is there, and this is very much a viral card. This is a card of a lot of chaotic energy coming in. And I think for some of you, this could absolutely mean that part of the success that's starting to come in for you may be a certain level of fame and attention. Eight of Wands can a lot of times indicate that everything, all this, I want to say a lot of energies, communication coming towards you is ramping up, right? So the phone is ringing, the emails are coming in, people are suddenly wanting more of your time and attention, and it can become quite chaotic. 8 being the number for strength and boundaries, there will be a period coming in April, May, and June where you're going to have to set very specific boundaries with certain people because so much attention and so much energy is coming your way. This can be attention like fame, but this could just simply be as a result of this increased abundance here that you're just busier, busier, busier. More and more people are putting their energy into you. And so in either case, in order to maintain your strength, in order to sort of be able to continue to discern the right energy you want to allow in and the other energy you want to keep at bay, you certainly want to take this period of time to reestablish your boundaries with certain people, especially with the Seven of Swords here, right? So you're going to have to be very careful, certainly if this is a case of more and more interaction with individuals, socially, business-wise, economic-wise, personally, this increase in communication and emotions and energy coming in. Through all of this, there will be predators. There will be people who are not so good for you. So between these two, the best part is to enforce your boundaries during this period so that you can protect the good fortune and the progress that you're making. Now, King of Swords and Magician, your attitude this period is being very, very sort of stern, very, very strict in terms of forward planning. The King of Swords is very severe. He's one of these people who understands the nature of being absolutely honest. He kind of sets the tone, right? He sets the rules. He's the great rule maker. He's also the great disciplinarian, right? So he requires absolute honesty, right? He requires that anything that he deals with absolute sort of openness. Everybody's cards are on the table, and he will absolutely cut through any bullshit with that sword if he has to, right? So this is a feeling of really heading up any obstacles or any sort of negative emotions or negative communication, like, dealing with it head on and rooting it out, right? And so this is very good, Taurus, because in addition to Eight of Wands being an increase of energy coming your way that can be quite chaotic, and this nagging feeling in the back of your mind that certain relationships or people maybe are not worth putting the energy into because they're just seeking to undermine you, King of Swords takes no prisoners, and this is absolutely necessary during this period for you to maintain and protect this great stability and good fortune that is coming your way, right? This increase of financial stability and rewards coming your way. King of Swords is the one who's one of the best court cards to protect that, right? He's going to be vigilant. He's going to maintain his clarity. He's going to stay aware, right, and on point, right, and making sure that nobody sort of gets past him with any kind of subterfuge or, fakeness or lies or negative sort of interference, right? You're met with the Magician energy, and this is a feeling of you cannot do any wrong this period, right? So the Magician energy is what's meeting you this period, April, May, and June, Taurus. So this is a real feeling that while you are coming into the month with an attitude of, taking no prisoners, not allowing anybody in your life who's going to undermine you, heading this energy off at the pass, what comes to you is that things are going to be working out very, very well for you in terms of your abilities, right? The Magician is the highest card in the tarot for talent and ability and skill and knowing your talents and knowing how to use your talents the best way possible to achieve what you need to achieve. And I think that this is an awareness that's coming into you this month that's really going to help you to sort of realize that everything that you have worked for and that you are gaining is as a result of your own skill and talent. I think there's going to be a level of self-confidence coming in for you. That's going to remind you that this is all down to you. You know, this what you are achieving is because you are actually good at it. You know what I mean? And it's like you're not going to second guess that anymore, right? Queen of Pentacles knows how to achieve things through blood, sweat, and tears, right? She understands the nature of being emotionally invested in all of that. But what this energy of the Magician does coming in, it just reaffirms the fact that you are experiencing success, Taurus, because this is what you're good at. This is what you were meant to do, right? This is your talent. This is your skill, right? And so it's going to be a great period, I think, for you of really having those things reaffirmed for you, right? It's going to be a great emotional boost. What you want is a rebalancing coming in. Justice, right? Justice is all about rebalancing certain areas of your life. For some of you, I think that this is absolutely appropriate for justice to show up because with these two tens showing up, it shows that you have certainly gone through a period in your life that has been out of balance, where you've had to deal with a lot of oppression, where you've had to deal with a lot of maybe financial difficulties, right? You've had to deal with an overabundance of obstacles in your way. And so that is an imbalance, right? So everything that's coming in this period for you, Taurus, is going to rebalance your life for the better. It's going to bring justice to you. Some of you may have a court event or an official event come in during this period that will be rebalancing some area in your life, because justice can absolutely indicate that. And so if you have been waiting for a settlement that's been taking a long time, or if you've been waiting for some kind of promotion or official sort of action to happen for some time that will serve as a rebalancing, some of you will absolutely be experiencing that also. You round off this whole period with the Hermit, just as the Aries did also. And I'm going to say that's because all of this is very much going to be a period of you reaching new levels of understanding of who you are, who you were meant to be, and the path that you were meant to take. This is a real period of self-realization in a lot of areas for you. And I think that it's also going to be a period of reaffirmation about your spiritual path, right? Some of you, I think here in this reading, this is certainly for a Taurus that will continue to remain quite independent, and that will continue in this particular instance to remain sort of you being the focus, your spiritual growth, your emotional and mental growth, all of that being your focus, right? So you're not necessarily going to be focusing on, you know, joining with somebody else romantically or in a love connection, whether that's there or not. I'm not saying that that isn't there, but what I'm saying is that this period of time is absolutely about you, your growth, your prosperity, and more to the point with the Hermit card, your deeper understanding of who you are spiritually and what is important to you spiritually. Yes, Lovers is at the bottom of the deck, and that's interesting because I feel that Lovers will indeed be the desire to be in a love connection, possibly, may be sort of underlying this entire period to a certain degree. You may be dating and things like that and looking for possible love connections, but I think it's going to take a great backseat to your own sort of achievements and ambitious desires that are going to be the main focus for this period, Taurus, okay? Remember, that bottom card just indicates what underlying energy may or may not be you may or may not be dealing with through a particular period of time. It is not a necessarily strong energy card for any particular reading. It is just sort of a little adjunct energy to think about. So in the back of your mind, yeah, you may be doing some dating here and there. You may be doing some, looking to see if this could be a nice connection or that could be a nice connection. But I do believe this energy is going to be taking a major backseat to everything else. We have 2 of Swords, 7 of Cups, 9 of Swords, wow, and 8 of Swords, wow, wow. Okay, so bottom of the deck, we have 4 of Cups. So that's interesting. I'm going to come back to that 4 of Cups. Let's talk about the 2 of Swords and the 7 of Cups. Well, 2 of Swords is coming in for that 9 of Pentacles. So this is definitely an indication that you may have some very tricky decisions coming up with regard to your career and abundance. 2 of Swords generally indicates a feeling of having to make an impossible decision, right? So with regard to some of these, this area of abundance and stability coming in, there will be a time where you feel like you have to make certain decisions that are really impossible, where you have to maybe give up one for the other. Remember that 2 of Swords is always about balance, Taurus. And so there's going to be some extreme options in your life coming in that you feel like you're having to choose one or the other over. That is almost an impossible decision for you. Just remember, you don't have to make a choice. What you do, however, should focus on is finding a balance, right? If you can't give up one or the other and they're both important in your life, then you definitely need to find a balance. In whatever way this decision making process comes up, just remember that at the time when it comes up, just remember that it's all about sort of finding a good balance for you, right? Now, this could be, again, choice between private life and business. This is where Lovers comes in, choice between private life or business, finding a nice balance. You don't only have to do your business or your career or your ambitious road without any love, or vice versa. So just be careful there to maintain a healthy balance for yourself. In the back of your mind, you have a 7 over 7. So 7 of Swords is futility, but 7 of Cups talks about an unrealistic viewpoint in relationships. So this futility, like I said earlier, I said that this 7 of Swords could come in the area of your love life or your dating area, where things just don't seem to work out the way you want them to. A lot of this, I do think this 7 of Cups has come to clarify that indeed, this feeling of futility will indeed be in the area of relationships. And I think a lot of it is because sometimes certain relationships come in and you may be sort of getting swept up in them, or thinking that, they're going to turn out a certain way and they don't, because maybe you have unrealistic expectations of them. And so nothing seems to be working. Again, allow that to sort of take a back seat, right? Allow yourself to sort of not put too much energy into relationships that don't serve you, or into certain connections with people that are unrealistic, right? Or they may be trying to convince you of a fairy tale outcome that isn't really there. This is something that's in the back of your mind, just like Lovers is is like an undercurrent here. Just be careful not to waste too much energy in this area, right? To remain grounded. The best thing you can do throughout this time, if you don't want to sort of find yourself banging your head up against the wall with regard to relationships, is to remain grounded. Don't let anybody come into you this period and sell you a fairy tale. 7 of Cups is talks a lot about, pie in the sky thinking, having a fairy tale outlook on relationships with people, and people coming in and trying to sell you a dream that isn't really realistic. Just remain grounded throughout this period, and that's going to help you have more sort of productive outcomes, rather than the situation where you feel like futile, okay, it all looks good on paper, but it never seems to work out. Remain grounded, and you will sort of cut down the experience of not getting what you want a lot more. If you remain grounded in these situations, certainly when you're dealing with people who are trying to convince you of a perfect relationship. When there is no perfect relationship, you won't constantly have this feeling of failure or it not working out with the Seven of Swords, because you're remaining grounded. You're saying, yeah, well, you're telling me this is going to be perfect, but I know better. I'm going to keep my feet on the ground and we'll just see how it works out. Nine of Swords coming in. So this is interesting. Nine of Swords, 10, you have a 10 of Swords. This is Nine of Swords. So certainly coming into this period, you are gathering your strength. It does feel like you're at the end of your rope in a lot of ways, Taurus. You may have been working for a long time to sort of get out of a period of struggling, right? And this last little push through, this last little bit of energy that you're putting into your goals and objectives are absolutely going to pay off. You are coming into this period. It seems to me like you've been on a marathon almost. You're coming into this last leg, like exhausted, you know, but I'm going to do it, pushing through. And then April, May, June, you arrive at the 10 and you arrive at finally this most difficult period, yes, indeed, being behind you. Well, we have an 8 of Wands covered by the 8 of Swords. A lot of doubling up of numbers, 7, 7, 8, 8. Well, 8 of Swords is interference, right? It's a very toxic energy. And 8 of Wands is a lot of, you know, a lot of energy. Like I said before, it's going to be a lot of attention, a lot of people coming into you. A lot of that energy is going to be from toxic individuals who are trying to sort of, you know, I want to say interfere with what you're achieving. So be very careful with that 8 of Swords. There's going to be certain people who are quite toxic who see this level of achievement you have coming in. And, you know, they may, this could be, I'm going to say this could be relationships that you already have with certain people who are quite toxic, who are like gaslighters, etc. Just be very careful. Again, like I said, make sure you put your boundaries in place, because towards the end of this April, May, June period, things are going to ramp up a lot, right? And with this 8 of Wands, there's going to be a lot of, there's going to be a high flurry, you know, of interaction, people coming into you, right? Socially or business-wise, you know, there's going to be more and more people. You may be involved in a type of career that has a lot of attention in it. In either case, take care to maintain your boundaries so you don't have this toxic energy of 8 of Swords coming too close to you, right? You know, and interfering with your long-term plans, right? So boundaries towards the end of the month is going to do quick. You know, the more everything ramps up, Taurus, the more your business ramps up, the more the rewards begin to come in, right? The more attention you are beginning to get for your achievements. Make sure your boundaries are in place, because the more toxic individuals will also come in towards you. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it. This is your April, May, June outlook for 2020 for Taurus. I hope it did help you. I hope it gave you some insight and some clarity. If it did, please like, subscribe, and share. If you want to get a private reading, you can go ahead and follow that link at the top of your screen. I do live 30-minute readings, or I also do 10-minute recorded tarot answers to look at and provide clarity into one question that you have in any area of your life. You can check both of those services out with that link at the top of your screen. But for right now, Taurus, have a wonderful second quarter of 2020, and I shall see you in your next Taurus outlook. Bye-bye now.